Hi, this is Diane Lovetobake on YouTube. And what we're going to make is a half of a sheet cake. But we're going to be making a marble half sheet cake. So you will need a 12 by 18 pan. You'll need to either heavily grease it and dust it with flour or use your parchment paper. It's up to you. But again, this is a 12 by 18 half sheet, okay? So I'm going to just set that aside for the moment. Now, the first thing is let's get the dry ingredients out of the way. Now, I'm going to go slowly and hopefully accurately get all the ingredients because I no longer list the recipe below the video due to so many people taking my videos, claiming them theirs, posting them, pinning them, whatever, and it's not worth the time anymore. So I'm going to try and do my best to go slow enough, but explain the ingredients to make this marble half sheet cake. First up, you will need 6 cups of all-purpose flour, and it's best if you would sift it. I went ahead and sifted this flour to save some time, and then I left out the rest of the ingredients just to remind you about sifting. You're going to use 2 tablespoons of baking powder, and yes, I did say 2 tablespoons. You're also going to be putting in 1 teaspoon of salt, okay? But again, sift all those together. I just did it separately for the video, but I usually just do my flour, my baking powder, and my salt, use my sifter, and I have it in my bowl, okay? So, just as a reminder, 6 cups of all-purpose flour, 2 tablespoons of baking powder, and 1 teaspoon of salt that I'm setting aside for the moment. The next, let's get the wet started to make this marble cake. You're going to be needing 3½ cups of granulated sugar. 3½ cups. You will need to probably do this recipe with a stand mixer. I'm not saying it couldn't be done with a hand mixer, but I think it'd be more difficult. So a stand mixer is really making this large cake, I think, a lot easier and more accurately as well. Okay, the next thing we're going to be putting in is 1½ cups of butter. I cut it up into small pieces, and we'll want to cream it together. It's been at room temperature, so it's softened. And my kitchen's quite warm right now too. So, all right, I'm going to warn you about the sound, but I'm going to cream the granulated sugar, the 3½ cups of granulated sugar, and the 1½ cups of butter. Okay, so I'll warn you about the sound. Now, you're going to stay with that longer than this. I'm moving it along due to the video, but you'll want to cream it. And I'm not going to be talking to you why the mixer is working, because I think it's too difficult to hear, but let me just beat that for a little bit longer. Warn you about the sound. Okay, now once you have that nice and creamed together, okay, I hope you can see that, then you're going to start putting the eggs in. You will need 8 eggs. If you have large, that'll be fantastic. If you don't, do the mediums, and it's turned out fine for me too, but use 8 large. We're going to put one at a time till they get beaten in. That's the first one. The second. The third. The fourth. The fifth. Sixth. 7. And 8. Again, I'm going to turn it up a little bit, so I'll warn you about that sound. Now, you'll want to beat that for, you know, a minute or 2 or 3 minutes. You don't want to overbeat it, just so it's well mixed. The next thing that you're going to put in is vanilla, and you're going to need 2 tablespoons. Again, yes, I did say 2 tablespoons, and I'm going to beat that in. Just want to clean the sides of this mixing bowl and get to the bottom a little bit. It tends to stick. Okay, and let's pull it back up again and beat it a little bit. Now, it seems like there's a lot of steps to this cake, and there really is, but it's so well worth it, the way that it bakes up, and it's a great tasting cake. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start adding our dry, of course, but we do need a liquid. So what we're going to be using is 2 cups of milk as we add the dry in, okay? And I think I'm going to just use my measuring cup here. And again, you want to just beat it in just till everything gets combined. We'll put some milk in. And then just add, and just keep alternating it as you see me do it. Mixing and blending it, and you want to be at, you know, a medium-low speed or whatever speed you prefer. Okay, let's put a little bit more in there, and then we're going to add some more milk. Add some more flour. Dry mixture. That's the rest of the dry. Whoa. I turned the mixer on a little bit too high there by accident. So a little milk went over, but no harm done. And then just stay with that till it's nicely mixed, okay? I'm going to turn up the mixer a little bit, so I'll warn you about the sound. Alright, I'm going to take my paddle out here. Take some of the excess so it this doesn't drip everywhere. I'm going to be putting it back in a moment, but I want to take out the excess. Okay. All right. I'm going to remove it just to get to the sides, get to the bottom, check it out. And then I want to show you how beautiful and velvety this batter becomes. But again, just a couple more stirs with my spatula here. I hope that you can see how pretty and creamy and smooth this batter is on this cake. This cake does not bake up real dense or real heavy. I think you're really going to like it if you try it, especially if you need a cake for a church social, a party, you know, for whatever reasons, large family, you know, whatever reasons why you need a large half sheet cake, okay? All right, now we're just gonna push that aside for the moment, and what we're going to do is we're going to take about 3/4 of the batter and pour it into the pan. Okay. And you know, you don't have to be specific on the exact amount. What I do is I just start putting it in my pan, leveling it off, making sure I'm getting all the sides and the ends. And I can generally see, you know, if I need more batter, of course, put in, then I just go and get more batter. So, you know, to say exactly 3/4 of it sometimes isn't, you know, it isn't always accurate. So I just do this, and if I notice it's just a little too low on one side, I want to get into those corners, you know, just to make sure that I've got enough. I've got enough in the pan. Okay? All right. Now, you will need a second bowl. So I've got one handy here. Okay? Because now we're going to make the chocolate portion of the batter. Alrighty? Okay. So, we're going to take out just a little bit. In fact, I think I'm going to do it easier this way. No, I'm going to do it that way. I think it's easier. Okay. All right. I'm going to need, and I hope, I didn't know if I mentioned it in the beginning or not, and I probably didn't, so I do apologize, that 3.5 cups of sugar, really only put in 3 cups. So I did make my first boo-boo there. 3 cups. You're going to use a total for the recipe 3.5 cups, but only 3 cups to make the batter that you just saw me watch, because this is the 1/2 cup that's here for the chocolate. Okay, so that's a 1/2 cup going in. I'll repeat it at the end. Okay, the next thing you're going to be putting in is a 1/2 cup of unsweetened cocoa. Now this is the baking cocoa, not the kind that, you know, you make hot chocolate with, that you drink and all that. So that's a 1/2 cup. Next, what you'll want to do is, and I gotta grab my measuring spoons here, you're gonna put 6 tablespoons of water. 4, 5, 6. If you need more, just make your bowl. Okay. All right. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to add I want to leave probably, oh, it's hard to say the measurement, but you know, I would say, let's see what I got here. I'd say, you know, maybe a little less than a half a cup, that kind of thing. Now, you can put your mixer back on, or you can do this by hand. And just take that batter and bring this all together. I'm leaving a little bit of the batter because when I start putting the chocolate over that, I have to have enough just to kind of spoon over the top. And just see that it comes together. Now again, you can put your paddle back on and mix this if you don't want to do it by hand, but I just decided I think it's quicker and it's less noisy than putting on my my mixer. So we'll pull that mixer out of the way. Okay, and then you can see the batter on that. Okay. Now, if you feel that it's not mixed well enough, and I think it does need a little bit more, I am going to put it back in the mixer just for a few seconds here. Whoops. There we go. Okay. It just had a couple little lumps and bumps there, and that bothers me, so it's just easier if I do that instead of letting it go. Alright, so the excess is coming off the paddle. I'll set that aside. Okay, and once again, I just bringing it all together, getting to the bottom. Okay. Now the next thing is I'm just going to drizzle the chocolate on top. And there's no right or wrong way of doing it. Now maybe some of you have a particular way of doing it different. Then of course feel free. You want to make it where you can still see some of the vanilla batter, so you know, just kind of spread it around. Let me get this all out here. I'd hate to waste any of it. Okay, this cake really smells nice when you're putting it together, especially especially the chocolate right now. It really smells so good. And when you're baking it, oh, the kitchen. Everybody comes in, you know, what are you baking? Smells good. You know, what are we having? Okay. All right, and let's get rid of that out of the way. Okay. Now I'm going to just go back to my batter, and then just to spoon it on, or with your spatula, just put some of that over the top. Again, you might have a specific way of doing it, but this is how I do mine. Again, I want to get that all out. So I just kind of space it around so I can still see that nice chocolate. And I'm going to get that out of the way. All right. And then you'll want to swirl it. So what I do is I usually vertically just take a knife. Let me just clean the sides of that. Okay, and then just from one end to another, I give it a nice swirl. Again, you might have your own technique for this, so you know, feel free. Okay, and then I'm gonna turn it around here in the opposite direction vertically. All right. You can also clean your knife in between if you prefer when you do it the second time around. Now, you're going to bake this cake at 325 degrees, and it's going to take anywhere from 45 to 55 minutes. But remember, all our ovens set up so differently, so start watching them, the cake, closely. And I actually start watching mine about 37 minutes or so, that kind of thing. When it comes out of the oven, of course, put it on a cooling rack till it's cool, that you can take it out of the pan and frost it or do whatever that you want with it. But I hope you can kind of see what it looks like. Again, just as a quick reminder, again, it's a 12 by 18 pan, okay? So again, 325 degrees, anywhere from 45 to 55 minutes. Test the cake with either a cake tester or a toothpick, that kind of thing, to know that it's thoroughly baked. Let me rinse my hands quickly here. Being I was handling raw eggs. All right, and I'd like to show you, I'm just going to walk away from the camera for a second to show you what it looks like once it's baked up. And this is how it will turn out. It really makes for a very nice, tall, high, marble cake for you. I hope that you can see it. I'm just turning it around, that maybe you can get a better look at it. It just bakes up beautiful. And this one, I believe, took about 46 minutes, 47 minutes in my oven at 325. Now you can put whatever frosting that you prefer over it, or any kind of topping. This cake is so delicious. It tastes fantastic just alone, or even just sprinkle powdered sugar on top, and it's really a great tasting marble cake. So there you have it. If you try this recipe and you like it, please leave a comment, because I really like to hear from you. Just to remind you again, please watch me solely and find me on YouTube, because that's the only place that I put my videos on. And so many times, and I mention this after each video because it needs to be said, that I see your questions or your comments where are on different sites that I can't answer you, and it's very, very frustrating. So please watch me solely on YouTube. And again, if you're so inclined, you'd like to subscribe to the channel, I'd really appreciate it, or give it a like or ring the bell. Any of those would be fantastic, and I can't thank you enough for taking the time to watch the video or watch any of my videos. I can't thank you enough. So that'll be it for me. You've got a marble half sheet cake that, if you give this recipe a try, I really believe you're going to like it and want to bake it again and again. So thanks for watching Diane Lovetobake, and I'll see you soon.